The night was dressed in elegance. Crystal chandeliers glowed like frozen fireworks above the ballroom, and the air shimmered with the soft hum of laughter, music, and glasses clinking. Downtown Chicago was alive that evening, but nothing outside could compete with the opulence of the Carter Foundation's annual gala. It wasn't just a gathering, it was a display of power, influence, and carefully crafted appearances. And somehow I was there. I stood at the far end of the ballroom, adjusting the strap of my navy blue gown. My name was Lena Morris, and unlike most of the people swirling around in designer labels, I didn't come from old money or political ties. I was a young journalist still trying to prove myself, invited here through a lucky connection. At first, I had planned on blending into the shadows, observing quietly. But the moment I walked in, my eyes betrayed me. They found him, Ethan Carter, the man whose name was stamped across magazines and whispered about in boardrooms. The philanthropist who managed to command the respect of both Wall Street and Washington. He was magnetic in a way that wasn't just about looks, it was about presence. Tall, confident, his black tailored suit sculpted perfectly, and his piercing gray eyes sweeping the room like he already owned every corner of it. I told myself to look away, to stay invisible, but then he caught me. His gaze locked onto mine across the sea of glittering gowns and bow ties. My breath hitched. I lowered my eyes quickly, pretending to sip from the champagne flute I hadn't even tasted. Surely, he wasn't looking at me. People like Ethan Carter didn't notice people like me. And yet, a few minutes later, he was walking toward me. The crowd parted for him, the way water bends around a rock. People tried to intercept him, men eager to shake his hand, women brushing their hair back with hopeful smiles, but Ethan passed them all. His stride was deliberate, unshaken, as though nothing could divert his attention. Lena. My name fell from his lips like he'd been waiting to say it all evening. My throat went dry. You remember me? I stammered, surprised he even knew it. Of course, he said, his voice steady, calm, as if the ballroom noise dulled around him. I remember more than you think. Before I could piece together a response, his hand brushed my elbow, guiding me away from the corner. The contact was gentle, but it carried the kind of authority that made it impossible to resist. Suddenly, all the eyes in the room seemed to track me too. My heels clicked against the marble, the sound magnified in my ears as whispers started swirling. We passed the line of guests waiting for their moment with him. Senators, CEOs, even the mayor himself. They stood in perfect order, champagne glasses balanced, small talk rehearsed. But Ethan didn't pause for any of them. Instead, he led me to the long banquet table at the center of the hall. The table gleamed with polished silverware, crystal glasses, and floral arrangements. I expected him to pull out a chair, to sit me politely as any gentleman host might do. But he didn't. With the faintest smirk tugging at the corner of his lips, he turned to me, and before I could react, he lifted me by the waist and sat me gently on the edge of the polished table. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My cheeks flamed as my hands instinctively gripped the fabric of my gown. This was insane. I could feel dozens of eyes drilling into me, the weight of gossip being born in real time. Ethan. I began in a whisper, my voice trembling. But he didn't flinch. He placed one hand on the table beside me, leaning just close enough that only I could hear his words. They can wait, he said, his tone calm yet unshakably firm. Then, straightening, he turned his gaze outward toward the stunned guests. All of you can wait. The silence was thunderous. The mayor cleared his throat nervously. A CEO's wife adjusted her pearl necklace, glancing at her husband. No one moved. No one dared approach. Ethan Carter had just made them all wait, and for me, my pulse raced, so hard I was sure it was visible in my neck. I looked at him wide-eyed. What are you doing? What I should have done the moment I saw you walk in, he said, his eyes locked on mine. Making it clear who matters most to me tonight. I wanted to protest. I wanted to tell him that this wasn't fair, that I didn't belong in the spotlight, that the stares made me want to shrink into nothing. But something about the intensity in his voice held me still. Why me? I whispered, my throat tight. He gave a small, knowing smile. Because you don't see yourself the way I see you. And tonight, I'm not going to let you hide. For a moment, I forgot about the glittering crowd, the chandeliers, the murmurs. It was just him and me, his gaze anchoring me to the table, his presence shielding me from everything else. The rest of the world could wait, because Ethan Carter had decided it would. And that was only the beginning of the night that changed everything.